Howdy, and welcome back. I'm Steven, and this is FWP Reviews. This year has been pretty unorthodox, I would say, but we've still managed to have some great films come out this year. I'm here to go over my top 25 films of the year, as well as a few honorable mentions. Without further ado, I present the FWP Top 25 Films of 2020. The first honorable mention is Synchronic. Synchronic was a surprise for me. It combines strong themes of sci-fi and drug insanity. It was incredibly interesting and surprisingly well-rounded. Another honorable mention is Big Time Adolescence. This movie is pretty solid as a whole, but Pete Davidson and Griffin Gluck's friendship is what really makes it shine. It makes lots of mistakes and has lots of faults, but the joy and fun that it brings are just another level. The final honorable mention is Get Duked. Get Duked is a mashup of a lot of trope, but still works to be a hilarious movie filled with insanity in the Irish Hills. Number 25 is none other than Spontaneous. It ekes its way into the top 25 by a hair, but boy is it enjoyable. It plays with teen romance tropes in an effective way and is led by a very effective duo of Catherine Langford and Charlie Plummer. Number 24 is one I saw really early this year, and that movie is Emma. Emma is based on the Jane Austen novel and stars Anya Taylor-Joy as Emma. It features one of the most outstanding ensemble cast of the year by far. Couple that with great wardrobes, set design, and filmmaking, and you're sure to get an absolute smash. HBO had a pretty solid year of original films, but none top number 23 on this list, Bad Education. This movie is led by the brilliant duo of Hugh Jackman and Allison Janney. We see an interesting true crime about one of the largest embezzling cases in history play out against the background of one of the best high schools in the country. Yes, it's based on a true story too. Number 22 is one of the most surprising movies I saw this year, and that is The Rest of Us. Something about this movie just drew me in and glued me to my seat. Themes about love and life were incredibly strong. Couple that with strong performances all around, especially by Sophie Nealis, and you are sure to get one of the best indie films of the year. Number 21 is Shithouse. Shithouse can be described as one of the first great coming-of-age films of this decade. Although a relatively small movie, the deadpan humor and the charming duo of Dylan Galula and Cooper Raiff really make this movie soar. This movie is vulnerable and makes the most of its small cast, crew, and budget to make something really special. Number 20 is Sound of Metal. Sound of Metal sees Riz Ahmed playing a drummer who rapidly starts to lose his hearing. Riz Ahmed gives by far one of the best lead performances of the year in this movie. This slower movie gives viewers time to reflect and think about what this movie is giving you. Number 19 is the new movie starring Aubrey Plaza, Black Bear. This movie sees Aubrey Plaza somewhat stepping out of her comfort zone, but you wouldn't be able to tell because of how razor sharp her performance is. This movie has a lot of distinctive different parts and a lot of interpretive meanings. This gives it the great ability to stick in your head for days and weeks to come. Number 18 is a movie I haven't been able to get out of my head since I saw it in February, and that is Blow the Man Down. Blow the Man Down sees a covered-up murder play against the background of a small New England fishing town. Trickery and twists are afoot as the loud sea shanties echo through the viewer's soul. Number 17 is Color Out of Space. This movie is based off of the H.P. Lovecraft story of the same name. It lives up to the Lovecraft name, and this is one of the most surprising and intense horror movies I saw this year. There's a beautiful color palette, a beautiful ending scene, and a beautiful, horrific nature to it all. Number 16 is one of those quick-talking movies that just steals your attention if done right. Straight Up does that and more. It's thoughtful and it has a great lead duo of Katie Finlay and James Sweeney. It's touching and hilarious, but most importantly, it's just damn good. Number 15 is an excellent court drama supported by some amazing performances. That is The Trial of the Chicago 7. This movie has so many shining stars you might just go blind. Sacha Baron Cohen is easily the standout though. This movie is solid and acts as a great podium for these amazing performances. Number 14 is my top horror movie of the year, and that is His House. It used mainstream horror effectively by using jump scares, but used them to keep extending so when you think they're over, they're never really over. It was very clever, and by the end it was a psychological nightmare that could keep even the calmest people up at night. The top documentary of this year takes the number 13 spot. That is Athlete A. It had one of the most poignant subjects of all the documentaries I watched this year. It was absolutely heart-wrenching. It was structured and done really well to tell the story and to tell us how to move forward and do better in the future. Number 12 is my favorite movie from the new Small Axe film series by Steve McQueen. That is Red, White, and Blue. John Boyega has a command of his role and he pours everything into it. He is backed up by the incredible filmmaking talent of Steve McQueen as well as the incredibly compelling nature of this narrative. The closing scene is so emotional and reflective, it helps keep this movie in your head for a few days. Number 11 is the runner-up for Best Animated Movie of 2020. That movie is Soul. I think this movie might improve upon other viewings, but it's still such a strong movie. It's got breathtaking animation and it's just pure Pixar magic. I wept at this movie and I loved it. Number 10 is my favorite animated movie of 2020. Yes, the race was this close. That movie is Wolfwalkers. Wolfwalkers is an incredibly special movie. It has such an effective use of animation and perspectives, but it also has incredibly strong characters. It knocks everything it goes for out of the park and I loved it. Number 9 is one of the biggest comedy hitters of the year. That movie is none other than Palm Springs. This movie is an updated Groundhog Day in a way, but it's also so much more than that. Andy Samberg and Kristen Milioti kill it. J.K. Simmons is brilliant as well. This movie is just a pure joy to watch on screen. Number 8 cements Eliza Scanlon as one of my favorite actresses of all time. That movie is Baby Teeth. This movie combines so much to create one brilliant and really fresh movie. It is so brutal and it just takes the life out of you, but it puts it back in you by the end. It is incredibly touching and definitely earned its place on this list. Number 7 is a little non-traditional, but it has definitely earned its spot. That is Folklore at the Long Pond Studio Sessions. Taylor Swift performs her new album Folklore with the people she wrote it with for the first time. She provides some brilliant insight and gives an intimate concert performance against the backdrop of this historic studio. Number 6 is by far the biggest surprise I had all year. That movie is The Kid Detective. This movie has great performances from Sophie Neelise and Adam Brody. This movie captures the spirit of small town living and failing to meet expectations. It's brutal and it starts out fun in the beginning, but by the end it takes you down a dark path that is incredibly effective. On to the top 5. We're diving deep into the biggest hits of this year. Falling at number 5 is Never Rarely, Sometimes Always. We see two cousins traveling to New York for an abortion after an unintended pregnancy. This movie chronicles their journey and the steps along the way. It's a guttingly emotional movie and has rightfully earned its place on this list. Number 4 is a movie I just could not stop thinking about. That is, I'm Thinking of Ending Things. This movie is absolutely filled with wonderful performances. There's great dialogue, great filmmaking, and so much more. It's ultimately a picture-perfect film. It twists and turns to the end and has one of the best endings of the year. Number 2 is one of the only big blockbusters to get released this year, and that is Tenant. In my opinion, there is so much to love about this movie. There are a ton of valid complaints, but none of them have really bothered me upon 2 rewatches. I enjoyed the scale of the movie as well as the solid performances all around. The music is stellar and the story is complicated as usual, but it's still amazing. The number 1 film of the year. This movie definitely wasn't something I was expecting. But after I watched it, I knew that this would take the number 1 spot. That movie is Another Round. Another Round is going to be a classic in my mind for years to come. An interesting story all about booze that is reinforced by Mads Mikkelsen's terrific performance. The closing scene is the best closing scene of the year and it truly encapsulates what this movie is. With that, I will wrap this video up. It has been a somewhat stellar year for movies, all things considered. I saw over 200 movies this year and had some difficulty making this list. I will see you all tomorrow for another video where I will go over my film awards for the year. With that, this is FWP Reviews signing off. Thank you guys so much for watching and I'll catch you all in the next one.